Hi, everybody. Today we are talking about hospitals and treatment for older adults who maybe are aging parents or our spouses or ourselves. So the question that caregivers have been asking is, can hospitals refuse treatment? If my aging parent goes to the emergency room, why can't they get admitted? Why does the hospital try to send them home when really there is something wrong? I'm Pamela D Wilson. I'm a caregiving expert. My website is PamelaDWilson.com. On there, a lot of helpful information. My caregiving blog, weekly caregiving podcast, online caregiving courses. So I want to talk about the Hospital Readmission Reduction Act, which is part of the Affordable Care Act, Section 3025. You can actually look this up. And I'm going to offer a very simple explanation about this for those of you who are struggling to get care for a parent in a hospital emergency room. So years ago, the government, in their wisdom, thought that it would be a really good idea to force hospitals to provide better care for patients. And to do this, they instituted financial fines for hospitals who readmitted patients after or within a 30-day period of a first hospital admission. And these issues mostly applied to older adults. So anything heart-related, heart failure, heart attack, heart bypass surgery, breathing issues like COPD, pneumonia, hip replacements, knee replacements. So if anybody goes to the hospital with one of these conditions, mainly somebody over age 60, and within 30 days they go back to the hospital, that hospital is financially penalized because they didn't offer good enough treatment or a good enough explanation to the patient how to take care of themselves so that that patient wouldn't come back to the hospital. Now, it's a great idea to fine hospitals on this end, but what hospitals don't have control over in their defense is what patients do after they leave the hospital, or the health condition of that patient before that patient even got to the hospital. Does the patient have a primary care physician that they see regularly? What caused that health issue? Is the patient sufficiently aware of the cause of the health issue, what symptoms present when they're feeling better or feeling worse, what medications they should take, and all the things they should be doing to stay healthy? That is out of the control of the hospital system, especially for people who don't go have regular medical care. So truly the best way to stay out of the hospital for anybody is regular medical care. You have a primary care physician. You go once a year. If you're an older adult, sometimes you go every 3 months if you have a lot of chronic conditions. And you learn about your health conditions and preventative measures that you can take, that you should be doing. Now, you can always refuse to do any of this, but if you're going to refuse, you should at least know the consequences. Like, if I don't take my high blood pressure medication, what could happen? I could have a heart attack. I could have a stroke. I could eventually have dementia. I could end up in the hospital emergency room and need a lot of care that is way more expensive than this $10 bottle of medication that I could take every month that could prevent all of this. Now, I realize that is a very simple explanation. But really, a lot of medical issues and concerns have simple explanations. The problem is that hospitals and doctors and healthcare providers don't speak the same language as most consumers, which is why there is a lot of information on my website. It's why I do these videos, because as a care manager, as a medical power of attorney, financial power of attorney, court-appointed guardian, for over 20 years, I manage the daily care and the health of my clients. And so I did a lot of research, and I still do a lot of research. My weekly podcasts, I interview amazing doctors from all over the world to help consumers understand health conditions. And so can hospitals refuse treatment? Yes, they absolutely can refuse to admit your parent into the hospital if they're older. And in most cases, they are going to do whatever they can to avoid that admission. So your parent with dementia who has pneumonia or a urinary tract infection might go to the hospital, and the hospital is sending them back home 4 hours later when your parent still doesn't feel better and may not be able to care for themselves. But the fact is they don't need to be in a hospital bed to treat that condition. So that's where a lot of the confusion comes. Sometimes they do, though. Sometimes there's other conditions that relate to what we're seeing that need treatment, and that's where you as the older adult or the caregiver have to really advocate to get your parent or loved one admitted. Now, because of this Affordable Care Act, Section 35, Hospital Readmission Act, hospitals have found ways to get around admitting older patients. And the way that they do that is by putting them on observation. So if your parent is in the hospital, the question you want to ask is my parent admitted or being admitted, or are they on observation? Because if a hospital puts your parent on observation, insurance reimbursement costs are different than if they're admitted, so that's the first issue. A lot of times they're probably not going to tell you because they don't want you to know the difference, or they think that you're not going to understand the difference. But here's the difference. If they're on observation, that means they're never going to be admitted to the hospital. And if your parent truly can't take care of him or herself and needs a nursing home for short-term rehabilitation, exercises, things to help them get better, they can't get to a nursing home if they're on observation. Most of the time they need to be admitted into the hospital, depending on the insurance plan, at least for 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours. So the path to getting the treatment an older person needs is you as the caregiver understanding all of this complicated stuff that the healthcare system knows that they don't talk about. So there's this huge gap between hospitals over here being financially penalized and consumers over here needing care. And there's not a lot of way to get to the middle unless you seek education or talk to someone like myself about all of these issues that you're seeing so that you can understand why and know exactly what to do to get the healthcare system to help you or your parent or your spouse to get the help and care you need. And many times it is a battle. You're going to get refusals for treatment, refusals for care, and you have to keep going back and filing appeals and advocating for yourself to eventually get the care that you need. I'm Pamela D Wilson. My website is PamelaDWilson.com. Please share this video with other people that you know who may be in similar situations looking for hope, help, or support in caring for someone, having health issues, medical issues that they don't understand. I offer consultations via telephone or via video call all over the United States. Have a fabulous day today. I'll see you all again soon in another video.